Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion. Delivered by conflicting media reports, we connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit in current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. And then remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990 or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan, a plan to save you money, I personally work with you, even if you don't have any needs today. Save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. 1990, and yes, we're celebrating today. We celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. It is National Donut Day. What's your favorite donut? If you're watching us on ronsiegelradio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 or FM 98.1 video feed, you are seeing that Josh has a picture there of a whole host of donuts, but I'm going to suggest that my favorite is missing. Have you ever had a maple bacon donut? That's maple bacon, I would say, is a top choice for me. And I would say also, how about an apple fritter? What's your favorite donut? Put it in the chat if you're watching us on ronsiegelradio.tv and on our socials. Or if you're in the car, just yell it out and we will hear. We hear everything on Ron Siegel Radio. So maple bacon or an apple fritter. Those are my go-tos. Although as I'm on this weight loss journey, I haven't had much to do with any kind of donuts for a while. And maybe I should have a donut. I'm stuck at 99 pounds. So, and I've been here for about a week now. Can't get that 100 mark. I'm working on it, but I can't get that 100 mark. Driving me a bit nuts, but I keep on working on it. Art Garfunkel's birthday is today, so I don't know if anybody knows Art Garfunkel. Wish him a happy Art Garfunkel. Wish him a happy birthday, Simon and Garfunkel. For those of you who are old like me. What else is there? Anything else exciting going on? Woodrow Wilson became the 28th president of the United States. This date in 1912. FDR, 1940, was elected to a third term. And you know something? So maybe there is still hope for Donald Trump, a third term. 1955, Marty McFly returns to November 5th in Back to the Future. Okay. Richard Nixon, 37th president, 1968 on this date. And Bill Clinton, more recently, 1996, reelected to his second term. What else do we have going on? That's enough. Let's see what the markets are doing today. Well, you know, we've got some interesting news out. We've got the 10-year Treasury is up. The mortgage bond is down a lot. The bond goes down, rates go up. So we're not happy to see that. We'll talk about why in just a minute. But there's a lot of negativity in the markets. We did get that ADP report, so that's what's hurting the markets quite a bit. And you know, the elections probably didn't help a whole lot on the markets. although it did remove some uncertainty. Now we know we do have the socialist and the anti-Semite in New York. So that we know that one's a done deal over there. But the market, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 255 points. The NASDAQ is up 211. Oil is down 81 cents a barrel, down under $60 a barrel once again. So under 60, it'll help a lot of the country. And one of the big things in the election had to do with cost of living. So with the oil going down, that helps on the cost of living. Not in California, but it does help the cost of living in other states. California, we just like to have high prices. We vote for it every time. Even yesterday, we voted to deal with that kind of stuff. So it is what it is. We have no choice. It's a one-party state, and we just spent $250 million of money that we don't have to make some changes that will give us less options, less opportunity. Thank you, Gavin Newsom.
Idiot.
But at least the rest of the country does see Newsom and sees what he's doing to California. And hopefully that'll be the indicator for his election run. We'll see what happens there. But it is a bit of a scary time. Now, when I mentioned earlier that the mortgage bond is down a lot and rates are up, it's not something that hasn't been happening right along. So we're right on a support level that we've touched several times. We hit it and it held back on October 9th. We were just below it in the end of September. It held on September 22nd. So we've had this level of support for quite a while at 99.28 on the 5.0 coupon of the mortgage bond. Why is that important? Why do I share that with you? Why do you care? Now, most people will say, I don't care. But if you're one of those people that has a lot of debt, we've talked about getting involved or looking into restructuring your home loans. And we've had these mini refinance opportunities. When you have those mini refinance opportunities, you have to be in place and ready to take action. I know it's the holidays. I know it's the last thing on your mind. But if you want to save money, it should always be on your mind. I would suggest getting the mini app in, rsrlinks.com/Sora, rsrlinks.com/Sora. It'll only take about 30 seconds of your time. It's got a lot of really tough questions like, what is your first name? What is your last name? And that's about half of what we would ask for there. But why do we do that? We look at it and see what your blended household interest rate is to see, have you in place and ready when the time is right to make that adjustment to your household financial picture. So go to rsrlinks.com/Sora and get started so we're ready for you. Now, if you're thinking about doing a debt consolidation, it doesn't really matter because we're looking at how much money you're going to save from your household cash flow. That's rsrlinks.com/2step. rsrlinks.com/2step. How much money will you save when you're taking a look at your household blended interest rate? That's the important part. So even though interest rates are higher today than they were, say, a week ago, the benefit is you're not worried about where the rates are today, because what we're really worried about, cash flow and where your rates are 6 to 12 months from now, when you've kept that your credit card balances in check, you've kept that debt paid off or paid off strategically. You never want to really pay it off completely. So even if you've got a line of credit with your bank, don't pay it off completely. What you want to do is leave it opened and use it a little bit. When you do that, it keeps it active. When you pay off, I shared this with you before. I paid off 2 different cars of mine last year, I think it was, maybe earlier this year, I don't remember. But each time I paid off one of the cars, my credit score went down. Why? Because my blend of my blend of the credit mix dropped, and I didn't have that. Those were active trade lines that fell off my report. So you just want to be careful of doing these things. Do them the strategic way. We can show that to you, and pay those credit cards strategically. rsrccpayment.com. rsrccpayment.com. Pay strategically, and we show you exactly how to do it. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, why your home equity still puts you way ahead. Credit mistakes don't have to be permanent. Fixed or variable mortgage. Which should you pick? You're not going to understand this answer until you listen to our report. And intellectual property and your estate. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990 or RonSiegelRadio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you missed any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694452. You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's...
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by rsrlinks.com/mobile app, rsrlinks.com/mobile app, and every day at this time, OBMMI. They provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. They do not tell us points paid, points received, or the APR. They tell us the number you need to put in your mortgage calculator to determine what your principal and interest payment will be. And that's the important number. They don't give us, again, the APRs. And because why? Well, there's so much that goes into it. They can be manipulated. You can't manipulate the note rate. So what did rates do yesterday? Well, let's take a look. Again, a mixed bag. Conventional 30-year fix, 6.214. That was up. Jumbo 30-year fix, 6.472. That was up. FHA 30-year fix, 6.042. That was up. VA 30-year fix, 5.788. That was down. USDA 30-year fix, 6.037. That one was down. So you're watching all of those. We watch all of those for you. Again, the mortgage, if put the number, those are the numbers, put it in the mortgage calculator. You get that, rsrlinks.com/mobile app, rsrlinks.com/mobile app. And if you want our thoughts about the market, well, we put that in the Ron Siegel Radio community. And you have access to that community simply by going to rsrlinks.com/HBOD, rsrlinks.com/HBOD. Let's take a look and see what the markets are doing today. So we've got the S&P 500 is up 51 points right now. We have the 10-year Treasury is up 7 basis points, 4.157. is where that's trading, 4.157. So we're watching that one for you. And wow, it's, something that the chart is coming, even falling off of my screen, that it's gone up so much lately. So we are watching that to see where it kind of settles in. We've got the mortgage bond, that's down 33 basis points. Again, bond down, rates up. What's driving it? Well, we got the ADP report this morning. Showed there were 42,000 jobs created in October, and while that was stronger than estimates of 24,000, still very weak. And I've postulated, I don't know if it's true or not, but you've had the government shut down since the 1st of October. I'm wondering how many people that are government employees that are not getting paid went and got, second jobs, and that it was part of that 42,000. ADP reported that there were job losses in August and September, and 3 out of the prior 4 months. Over the last 3 months, including today's figure, there have been a total of 10,000 jobs created. Total, 10,000. Looking deeper at today's report, small and medium-sized businesses lost jobs. The only size company that gains were large businesses, which are those with 500 or more employees. 75% of the people work at small and medium-sized businesses. There have also been a lot of layoff announcements at the larger companies, as well as Warren notices. Talked about that yesterday. Those have yet to come to fruition and show up in the numbers. The sector breakdown was also weak. ADP tracks 10 different sectors for jobs, half of which showed losses. One of the largest gains came from education and health services, not sensitive to the economy and is responsible for most of the job growth. Leisure and hospitality, which is a good proxy for the consumer, has now shown job losses in 3 consecutive months. Turning to wages, job stayers and switchers pay were stable at 4.5% and 6.7% respectively. During a hot job market, these figures accelerate and they've been decelerating for the past year. Bottom line, the report was stronger than estimates and a positive number, but was weak overall as far as helping the Fed for their decision at December 10th meeting. This did very little. If anything, we believe it clouded their thought process. It was not strong enough to warrant not cutting or weak enough to warrant a cut. As mentioned after the last Fed meeting, we do not believe the Fed will cut again without the official BLS and PCE data, and today's report was not enough to sway them either way. Unless the government reopens soon and the data is released ahead of December 10th, I think the Fed will likely be on hold. And the last number I saw was about 62% felt that there was going to be a cut. So that means it's kind of built into the pricing. So if they don't cut, well, we'll see what happens. It could be painful, would be the right terminology for that. It could be painful when we start looking at that. That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by rsrlinks.com/mobile app, rsrlinks.com/mobile app. Let's see. Let's do Your Credit Matters today, brought to you by rsrlinks.com/debt-free. Want to get debt-free? rsrlinks.com/debt-free will help you. A financial setback doesn't mean your story is over. It's actually a chance to hit the reset button and build something stronger than before. I am Ron Siegel, Certified Liability Advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. You know, I've been doing this since 1983. And I've seen just about every credit situation you can imagine. One thing I've learned, credit mistakes are not permanent. They just require patience and a clear plan. Let me tell you about someone I worked with recently. Can't share specifics for privacy, but the pattern is pretty common. They'd gone through a rough patch. Credit took a hit, and they felt stuck. Sound familiar? Here's what most people don't realize. Rebuilding credit isn't about quick fixes or paying someone to make problems disappear. It's about understanding how the system works and using that knowledge to your advantage. First things first, get your free credit reports from all 3 bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, at annualcreditreport.com. Why all 3? Because creditors don't always report to the same ones. You might have an error on one report that's dragging you down or your score down for no good reason. And if you want to see your true FICO score, go to rsrlinks.com/FICO, rsrlinks.com/FICO. Look for discharged debts that still show as unpaid. Data entry mistakes happen more than you'd think, and fixing them can give your score a quick boost. I submit that the bureaus want your scores low because they make more money that way, my opinion. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The fastest way to start rebuilding a secured credit card. Think of it this way. You put down a deposit that becomes your credit limit. And now the lender has zero risk while you prove you can handle credit responsibly. Use it for small purchases, pay the full balance every month. That's it. But here's the key, and this is where strategy comes in. Choose a card that reports to all 3 bureaus and lets you graduate to an unsecured card later. Not all of them do this, so ask before you sign up. And if you want some information on that, let us know. We'll tell you which ones will do it. How much should you use? Keep your balance under 10% of your limit. We've got a complete guide on managing credit card payments at rsrccpayment.com, rsrccpayment.com. Even if you pay in full every month, high balances can hurt you. Why? Because lenders report your balance on specific dates. If you need to make a bigger purchase, make multiple payments during the month to keep that reported balance low. So what does this mean for you? Payment history matters most for your credit score. Set up automatic payments for everything, credit cards, utilities, rent. This helps you avoid late fees and keeps those negative marks off your report. Here's something else people miss. Building solid credit habits. Check out rsrlinks.com/keysteps to get your financial house in order. Rebuilding credit isn't just about managing credit accounts. You need a budget that covers essentials plus money for savings. Build an emergency fund. Even $500 set aside can prevent missed payments when life throws you a curveball. Now about credit repair services. We have some long-time relationship with trusted professionals we're happy to introduce you to. The key is working with people who have proven track records, not promising overnight miracles. Overnight miracles do not happen. Want to see where you stand and get a clear picture of your options? We've got two resources for you. rsrlinks.com/keysteps. Get that financial house in order. rsrlinks.com/keysteps. And rsrlinks.com/Sora for a liability checkup with a soft credit pull that does not affect your credit scores. We'll look at your complete financial picture and show you exactly how to move forward. Remember, a financial setback isn't the end of your story. It's just the beginning of a stronger chapter. That is your Credit Matters segment brought to you by rsrlinks.com/debt-free. I am Ron Siegel, your certified liability advisor, helping families like yours build wealth through strategic debt management. Again, your Credit Matters by rsrlinks.com/debt-free. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, why your home equity still puts you way ahead. Fixed or variable mortgage, which should you pick? All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Why your home equity still puts you way ahead. If you've seen headlines about home prices dropping, it's easy to wonder what that means for the value of your home too. Here's what you really need to know. Hey, we've got a tool that'll send you an email every month. rsrlinks.com/homewealth. rsrlinks.com. I think it's home. Isn't it homewealth, Josh? Yeah, rsrlinks.com/homewealth. Send you an email every month with the value of your property. It goes and does all kinds of stuff in the background. Even with small price declines in some markets, data shows you're still likely way ahead, and that's thanks to your home equity. The home equity moves in sync with home prices. When prices rise, equity builds. When prices cool, even just slightly, equity growth does too. Here's how that's played out lately. After the record-setting home price surge of 2020-21, a little cooling was inevitable. But then the number of homes for sale hit a record low. That caused home values and your equity to shoot up significantly as buyers fought over limited inventory. But prices continue to rise at that intense pace. Prices could not continue to rise at that intense pace forever. The market had to moderate at some point, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now. As more homes have come onto the market this year, price growth slowed, so equity gains did too. And that doesn't mean you've lost ground. You probably still have far more equity than you did just a few years ago. And that puts you in a strong position if you want to sell. Here's the data to prove it. According to research from Zillow, home prices have risen a staggering 45% nationwide since March of 2020. That's a big jump. And in the majority of markets, prices are still rising, just at a much slower pace. But even in the metros where prices are experiencing the biggest declines, the ones making the headlines, the average drop is only about 4%. So what's that really mean? In most places, prices are on the rise, so this isn't even a concern. But in the few metros where prices are cooling off a bit, the 5-year gains more than offset those dips. If you're watching us on ronsiegelradio.tv and any of our socials, you are seeing a chart of home price gains over the last 5 years, more than offset the recent declines. And you can see that right there on the chart. And in other words, if these small, modest declines can't erase years of growth, homeowners who have been in their houses for several years are still way ahead, big time. And that's true pretty much everywhere. Data from the Federal Housing Finance Agency, FHFA, helps paint this picture. Let's cast a slightly wider net and look at state-by-state level this time. Every single state has seen prices go up over the last 5 years, and that means homeowners in each state have much more equity than they did just 5 years ago. And again, if you're watching us on ronsiegelradio.tv or any of our socials, you are seeing the chart. My bad eyes, I can't see it, but I see that it says 53.93 is the national average. Josh, can you see what the number is for California? I can't see that. Probably a big number. 41.4%. So 41.4% is that growth over the last 5 years for the state of California. Odds are in most places, if you've owned a home for more than a few years, you've already built the kind of equity many people could only dream about before the pandemic. And if you sell, you can use it to help you right size or move up. And just in case you're worried prices will crash and your equity will take a bigger hit in the near future, here's what Jake Krimmel, senior economist at Realtor.com, has to say. The slight recent declines in aggregate value and total home equity are not cause for concern. While the market is coming into better balance, large price declines nationally are extremely unlikely in the near term. The price moderation we've seen lately isn't a cause for concern. It's a signal of a market that's finding its balance again after several years of unsustainable price growth and after several years of major price appreciation. Most homeowners are still in an incredibly strong position. Bottom line, even with prices coming down in some markets, today's homeowners are still sitting on near record amounts of equity. If you're wondering how much equity you have or how far ahead you really are, give me a call at 800-306-1990. I'll help you out with that. Or simply go to rsrlinks.com/homewealth, rsrlinks.com/homewealth, and we'll send you out a monthly report on what your property is doing. That's the real-time real estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. So the question comes up, we see this constantly about fixed or variable prices. So we figured that we would give you a Mortgage 101 brought to you by, got to look for it because I'm new to it, rsrlinks.com/Sora. Just got a new sponsor on that one, rsrlinks.com/Sora. Here's a question I get all the time. Ron, should I get a fixed rate mortgage or go with the variable rate? Honestly, most people are asking the wrong question entirely. I am Ron Siegel, Certified Liability Advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Let me share a story. Just last week, I sat down with a couple who'd been shopping mortgage rates for months. They were stuck choosing between a fixed rate at 6.5% and a variable rate starting at 5.8. They kept asking me which one was better. This one's kind of a good shot for our second look program, rsrlinks.com/2ndlook. rsrlinks.com/second look. That would be the numeral 2ND look. I asked them a different question. How long are you planning to stay in this home? Turns out they were relocating for work in about 3 years. Suddenly, that variable rate made a lot more sense for their situation. Here's what most people miss. The fixed versus variable debate isn't really about which mortgage is better. It's about which mortgage fits your specific situation better. Let's break this down simply. A fixed rate mortgage keeps your rate locked in for the life of the loan. No surprises, no changes. What you see is what you get for 30 years. A variable rate mortgage that can move up or down based on an index tied to prevailing interest rates. Your payment could change over time. Now, here's where strategy comes in. Remember, strategy beats rate always. If you're planning to stay in your home short term, maybe 3 to 5 years, a variable rate might save you money up front. You'll have less time for rates to move against you. But if this is your forever home, if you're putting down roots for the next 15, 20, or 30 years, a fixed rate gives you predictability. You know exactly what's coming out of your household budget every single month. The current interest rate environment matters too. When rates are historically low, locking in makes sense. When they are higher than average, a variable rate gives you the chance to benefit if rates drop without having to refinance. Here's the question nobody else asks you. What happens to your household budget if rates spike and your variable mortgage payment jumps to its lifetime cap? Could you still afford it? How would that impact your overall financial picture? This is where the household blended interest rate comes into play. It's not just about your mortgage rate in isolation. It's about how that mortgage payment affects your total cash flow and your ability to manage all your other debts effectively. I had a client recently who was so focused on getting the absolute lowest mortgage rate that he missed the bigger picture. He took a variable rate mortgage to save 0.5%, but he was carrying $40,000 in credit card debt at an average of 22% interest. We repositioned his equity to handle that high interest debt. And even with a slightly higher mortgage rate, his household blended interest rate dropped significantly. His monthly cash flow improved by over $800. That's strategic debt management. That's what suitability looks like, not just eligibility. So which should you pick? Fixed or variable? The answer depends on 4 things. How long you're staying in the home, where interest rates are relative to historical averages, your tolerance for payment uncertainty, and most importantly, how it fits into your overall financial picture. Don't let the tail wag the dog. Your mortgage rate is only one part of the conversation. What really matters is how much money is actually coming out of your household budget each month and whether you're building wealth or just treading water. Want to see how a fixed or variable mortgage would impact your household budget? Well, get started, rsrlinks.com/keysteps, rsrlinks.com/keysteps. Let us run the numbers together. We'll look at your complete financial picture, not just one piece of it. Because you know it, strategy beats rate always. I am Ron Siegel, your certified liability advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. That's Mortgage 101, brought to you by rsrlinks.com/Sora, rsrlinks.com/Sora. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, intellectual property and your estate. We'll talk about that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you missed any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. We've got Borrow Smart segment brought to you by GetHomeSelect.com, GetHomeSelect.com. Picture this. You've spent years creating something valuable, maybe a patent, a trademark, or even creative work. But here's what most people don't realize. Without proper planning, all that hard work could vanish from your family's hands when you're gone. I'm talking about intellectual property, and it might be one of the most overlooked assets in estate planning. I am Ron Siegel, Certified Liability Advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. So what exactly is intellectual property? Let me break it down into 4 areas. First, we have patents. These protect original inventions, everything from software applications to the unique shape of a product. Think about that distinct Coca-Cola bottle. Patents come with time limits. 20 years for utility patents, 14 to 15 years for design patents. Second are trademarks. These are the symbols, logos, and even colors that identify a product or service. McDonald's Golden Arches, that's a trademark. These can last indefinitely as long as they're actively used. Third, copyrights. Those protect creative works. If you write a book, compose music, or create artwork, you automatically own the copyright. Here's something interesting. Copyright protection lasts your lifetime plus 70 years. But there's a catch. Works from 1928 and earlier entered the public domain in 2024. Finally, trade secrets. These are confidential business information that gives a company a competitive edge. Colonel Sanders' 11 herbs and spices. That's a trade secret. Unlike copyrights, these can be tangible or intangible, and they last indefinitely as long as they stay secret. Now, why does this matter for your estate? Well, intellectual property can be incredibly valuable, but it's also tricky to manage. Before you include IP in your estate plan, you need to confirm ownership. The original creator might not be the sole owner. Joint inventors might have agreed to split ownership percentages, or rights might have been assigned to an employer. Here's where it gets interesting. From a strategic perspective, just like I always say, strategy beats rates when managing debt, strategy beats assumptions when protecting intellectual property. You need to know what you actually own before you can pass it on. The value of IP changes over time. A patent might seem valuable today, but court decisions could render it worthless tomorrow. Copyrights generate value based on future revenue potential. You might need to hire an expert appraiser to determine what your IP is really worth. And here's something many people miss. Your personal wishes matter. Maybe you don't want that song you wrote used in commercials. Maybe you want your invention to benefit a specific charity. These preferences need to be spelled out clearly in your estate plan. So what does this mean for you? If you or someone in your family has created something original, whether it's an invention, a creative work, or a business process, that intellectual property deserves the same careful planning as your home or investment accounts. It's about protecting the legacy of your creativity and making sure your hard work continues to benefit the people you care about. Work with a financial and legal team to inventory your intellectual property, confirm ownership, get property valuations, and document your wishes. Don't let years of creative effort slip away because of poor planning. For more information on protecting all your assets, including the ones you might not have considered, visit at ronsiegelradio.com or check out our different sources and people that we can put you in touch with. rsrlinks.com/ did we do a state, Josh? I think it's a state. It might be trust. We just did that one yesterday, but we just created it. So, but in any event, all you have to do is call me and I'll put you in touch with some very good trust and estate people that can give you the guidance you need. Borrow Smart segment brought to you by GetHomeSelect.com, GetHomeSelect.com. So we've got a few resources that we're going to give away to you today. We like to give you lots of resources. Our home buyer's guide, rsrlings.com/HBG, is the home buyer's guide. You got to know about this one because there's still so many people that have that 3% mortgage. And yes, I'll tell you, it could be killing you. rsrlinks.com/3PCT. rsrlinks.com/3PCT. And for those people that say houses are just not affordable, it's because you don't have the right strategy. rsrlinks.com/buydown. rsrlinks.com/buydown. So we've got that one there for you as well. As always, we ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean who are engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.